Hey, this is Rick with Valtrain. For today's episode of the Whistle Stop, we're going to do the design overview or the builder's overview of the Trenton amp. This is our 16-watt cathode bias, kind of schizophrenic member of the family. This amp was designed to be a multi-purpose amp. It is actually 4 discrete voices in one amp. Designed as a recording amp, as a hobbyist amp, as a amp for a guy who has multiple projects and needs a multiplicity of tones. So to get started with this, you can think of this amp as being derived from the Fenderish amps of the late 50s and early 60s. There is a single input jack. There is a raw switch, which is basically thought of as a 50s/60s switch. It's a tone stack defeat, but it puts you into that mid-range push that the amps of the 50s had. On the back, there's a low power switch, which goes from 16 watts down to 5. In Fender terminology, you can think of that as a deluxe champ switch. So in effect, what you have in this amplifier is access to tones that are very similar to a 60s era 16 to 20 watt amp without reverb and the 5-watt amp of the same era. In raw mode, you have access to the 50s tweed tones, 16-watt amp, and 5-watt amp. The other thing on this amp is the mid control. From 1 to 4 is equivalent to 1 to 10 on a Fender Black Front era tone stack. Once you push above that, you get more of a mid-range push and opens up the flexibility of the tonality of the amp. So to give you a basic idea of what's going on with this guy, we are going to use a Mexican Strat with a custom pick guard with the reverse mounted bridge pickup. I'm going to put it in whatever position 2 or 4 that uses these 2 pickups. I can never remember whether it's 2 or 4. It doesn't really matter. It's back 2 pickups. I have the volume set on 3.5, treble on 7, mid down around 2.5 to 3, and the bass at 7, and the raw switch is in the off position. We're in 16-watt mode, and on the neck pickup, middle pickup, bridge pickup, as I reach behind and knock it into low power mode, part of the circuit design of low power is to clamp some of the low end out so that it more accurately emulates an 8-inch speaker as compared to the single 12 that's in this cabinet. If you want to go to the 50s voice, we turn the raw switch on, defeats the tone stack, you're left with an active volume control. We are still in 5-watt mode. Middle pickup. Leaving the amp in raw mode and going back to 15-watt mode, you hear the to go back to 60s voicing. You can hear the strength of the mid control come active as you go up above 4 or 5. One of the fun things to do with this amp is to put it into low power mode, raw mode. And as a call out to one of my buddies up in Ludington, Michigan, that used to be in a band called Little Amps on 10, here is 5-watt mode, pretty well cranked up on the middle pickup. So that is the simple overview of the Trenton 16-watt twin 6V6 cathode bias 1x12 combo from Valve Train. See you on the next episode of the Whistle Stop.